You think they're cold. You think they're emotionless. You think they've moved on. But what if I told you that the one who's running the fastest is actually the one who's hurting the most? Let that sink in. Avoidant partners, the ones who shut down, push you away, build emotional walls, and leave you questioning your worth, they're not as invincible as they appear. Behind their silence is a secret weakness, and once you understand it, you'll no longer feel powerless in their storm. Let's dive deep, not just into their mind, but into their hidden fears, emotional blind spots, and the truth they don't want anyone to know, especially you. Avoidant partners wear emotional armor so thick it can feel impenetrable. They walk around like they don't need anyone, like they've mastered detachment and nothing can shake them. But let me tell you the truth. The armor isn't strength. It's fear, and not just any fear. It's primal. It's the fear of being seen, the fear of being vulnerable, the fear of being hurt again. You see, somewhere deep in their past, something taught them that connection equals pain. Maybe it was a parent who only showed affection conditionally. Maybe it was emotional neglect. Maybe it was betrayal or inconsistency. But whatever it was, it burned the message into their nervous system. Don't get close. It's not safe. So what do? They adapt. They survive. They build walls, not to keep you out, but to protect the wounded child within who once felt abandoned, unseen, or unworthy. And that wound, it never really healed. It just got buried under layers of logic, independence, and control. They become masters of emotional self-preservation, not because they're strong, but because they're terrified of what would happen if those walls ever came down. This is why you'll notice how calm they look when there's chaos, how quiet they get when you're trying to connect, how quickly they disengage when you ask for emotional closeness. You might think, wow, they really don't care. But the truth is, they care so much that they've trained themselves not to feel, because feeling to them means danger. It means exposure. It means giving someone the power to hurt them again. That armor they wear, it's suffocating them, even as it keeps them safe. It blocks out pain, yes, but it also blocks out love, joy, intimacy, and connection. And most of them don't even realize it. They're just operating from an old, outdated emotional software that says, be strong, don't need anyone, don't trust anyone. And every time they push you away, they're not showing power. They're showing how deep their wound still goes. So when you're wondering why they seem so distant, so detached, so cold, remember this. Their armor is not a reflection of your value. It's a reflection of their fear. Fear of being hurt, fear of being known, fear of being loved and losing it. And no matter how tough they act, that fear is running the show. Emotional intimacy is the one thing avoidant partners can't seem to sit with. Not because they don't want love, but because love, real love, requires exposure. It demands vulnerability. It asks for openness. And that's terrifying to someone who spent their whole life building walls to stay safe. They've taught themselves to rely on logic, not emotion, to analyze instead of feel. So when someone comes into their life offering connection, consistency, and genuine closeness, it triggers a deep internal alarm, not because you've done something wrong, but because your love represents everything they've trained themselves to avoid. When you start to lean in, they start to back away. When you express your needs, they grow quiet. When you reach out emotionally, they retreat physically or mentally. It's not rejection. It's a defense mechanism. To the avoidant partner, closeness is not comforting. It's overwhelming. It forces them to come face to face with feelings they've buried, to respond in ways they were never taught, and to experience intimacy in a way they were never modeled. They may crave the warmth, but the moment they feel it, the fear of losing control takes over. It's like touching a flame they've always admired from a distance. Up close, it burns. What makes it even more confusing is that they often say they want a deep, meaningful relationship. And in theory, they do. But in practice, their nervous system isn't wired for it. They've learned to equate closeness with danger. And when things start getting emotionally intense, they feel like they're drowning in something they can't control. That's when the shutdown begins. The cold responses, the ghosting, the emotional unavailability. It's not that they don't feel, it's that they feel too much, too quickly, and it scares them. So they numb it. They withdraw. They suppress. And you, the person trying to love them, are left confused, hurt, questioning your own worth. But the truth is, their reaction isn't about you. It's about the emotional landmines within them that you unknowingly step on just by getting close.
Your presence pokes at their deepest insecurities. Your love threatens to dismantle the identity they've built on self-protection. Intimacy to an avoidant is like standing in front of a mirror with no armor, no filter, and no way to run. And that's exactly why it feels like kryptonite. Control is the invisible shield avoidant partners use to navigate relationships without feeling emotionally exposed. To them, control is safety. It's a way to regulate the environment, to limit surprises, and to prevent situations that might lead to vulnerability or discomfort. You see, when someone has spent their life feeling emotionally unsafe, they begin to depend on control the way a drowning person clings to a piece of wood. It's not about logic, it's about survival. That control might show up as emotional distance, stonewalling, selective communication, or even a carefully curated image of independence. But underneath all of it lies a single driving force: fear of losing power over how they feel. They've convinced themselves that if they let go, if they allow themselves to really feel, to really trust, to really depend on someone, they might get lost in it. They might lose control of their emotions, of the dynamic, of their own identity. So instead of surrendering to connection, they stay behind the wheel at all times, and that means keeping you at arm's length. It means controlling how close you can get, how much they share when they engage and when they disappear. They maintain power through unpredictability, and often, this unpredictability is intentional not because they want to play games, but because staying in control of emotional timing gives them a sense of safety. When things feel too intense, they pull back. When you get too close, they change the subject. When the relationship feels emotionally charged, they often go cold, not to punish you, but to regain control of their inner world. It's as if they have an emotional thermostat that can't handle warmth above a certain degree. So the moment things start heating up, they turn it down, fast. But here's what's really happening beneath the surface. The control they cling to is not empowering them, it's imprisoning them. It's keeping them in a loop of false safety and emotional starvation. They think they're avoiding pain by staying in control, but what they're really doing is avoiding the very thing that could heal them: human connection. Deep down, many avoidant partners are exhausted. They're tired of being hyper-independent. They're tired of acting like they don't care, but they don't know any other way to feel safe in love without giving up that control. And until they confront that illusion of safety, control will continue to be their comfort drug, even as it pushes away the love they secretly crave. Avoidant partners live in a constant emotional paradox. They long for connection, but fear it just as deeply. This inner conflict shapes nearly every relationship they enter. On the surface, they may seem content being alone, detached and unbothered by closeness, but underneath that calm exterior is a hunger for deep, secure love. They want to be understood, accepted, and emotionally held. They want the kind of love that sees past the walls, that waits patiently at the door they rarely open. And yet, the moment that love shows up steady, sincere, emotionally available, it triggers all their internal alarms. It's because love, for them, isn't a source of safety. It's a threat to their emotional control, to the independence they've fought so hard to protect, and to the beliefs they've built around not needing anyone. When someone comes into their life and offers genuine connection, not manipulation, not chaos, but grounded emotional intimacy, it confronts everything they've taught themselves about relationships. It says you don't have to run anymore, and that invitation, while beautiful, is terrifying. They're not used to being seen emotionally. They're used to being admired for their independence, their logic, their self-sufficiency. But being emotionally seen means they have to face parts of themselves they've long avoided: fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of being not enough or too much. It brings back the wounds that taught them to stay guarded in the first place. So when someone offers them true closeness instead of leaning in, they often pull away. Not because they don't value you, but because the closeness brings pain wrapped in the potential for joy. This is why avoidants often sabotage the very relationships that feel the safest. Deep down, they're not afraid you'll hurt them in the ways others have. They're afraid you won't, that you'll love them too well, too deeply, too consistently. That kind of love is unfamiliar, and the unfamiliar is dangerous to someone who lives by emotional self-preservation. It makes them question the narrative they've lived by. I don't need anyone. I'm better off alone. They want love, but they don't trust it. They crave connection, but they don't believe it will last. And that tension between desire and fear creates a push-pull pattern that confuses both them and their partners. They don't run because they don't feel. They run because they feel too much, and they don't yet know how to hold it. The greatest battle avoidant partners face is not with you, it's with themselves. The distance they create, the coldness they display, the avoidance of emotional depth. All of it is a reflection of their inner war. They are constantly torn between the version of themselves they show the world and the one they keep hidden, even from their own awareness. On the outside, they might look confident, composed, and in control. But inside, there's often a deep, unacknowledged turmoil, a voice that says, if someone truly sees me, they'll leave. If I open up, I'll lose myself. If I let them close, I'll get hurt. And so, they protect themselves not from you, but from the mirror you hold up. You see, love is a mirror. Real, healthy love reflects back everything a person hasn't healed, everything they've tried to forget. When you show up with emotional availability, consistency, and genuine care, it shines a light on the parts of them they've hidden away, their fears, their doubts, their sense of unworthiness. They don't push you away because you've done something wrong. They push you away because being close to you brings their inner struggles to the surface. This is why avoidant partners often feel irritated or uncomfortable when things get emotionally intense. It's not about you being too much. It's about them feeling too confronted. Your presence challenges their emotional patterns. It invites them to step out of their armor, to show vulnerability, to be seen without their masks. And for someone who's spent their whole life avoiding that kind of raw exposure, it can feel like standing on a cliff with no safety net. So they lash out, they withdraw, they deflect, they blame, but the truth is, the emotions they direct at you are often emotions they don't know how to process within themselves. They're not trying to punish you, they're trying to protect their own fragile sense of control. In their world, losing emotional control equals weakness. So instead of leaning into the discomfort and growing through it, they retreat into what's familiar, emotional detachment. But that detachment doesn't heal them. It only keeps them stuck. And until they confront the fear that lives inside them, the fear of being fully seen and not being enough, every relationship will feel like a battlefield. Not because of the partner they choose, but because of the war they haven't yet ended within. At the heart of every avoidant partner lies a deeply embedded story, one shaped by past pain, emotional neglect, and a survival-based belief that love equals danger. They've constructed a world where distance is safety, control is comfort, and detachment is a skill, not a wound. But the truth is, behind their calm exterior and guarded behavior lies someone who is deeply human, someone who craves connection as much as they fear it. Their coldness isn't the absence of emotion, it's the presence of overwhelming, unprocessed emotion that they've never learned how to face. They're not emotionless. They're emotionally overwhelmed, trapped in a loop where love feels too risky to fully accept. Understanding this doesn't mean excusing hurtful behavior or staying in relationships that damage your self-worth, but it does mean seeing clearly. It means recognizing that their silence, their retreat, their inability to hold emotional space isn't about you not being enough, it's about them not believing they're capable of handling closeness. You didn't break them. You triggered what was already broken long before you came. And often, your presence, especially if it's consistent, emotionally safe, and grounded, can feel threatening because it brings their unresolved wounds into the light. You become the mirror they've spent a lifetime avoiding, but no matter how powerful your love is, you cannot heal someone who refuses to look inward. You cannot force someone to confront the emotional walls they're not ready to tear down. What you can do is love without losing yourself. You can choose to stop interpreting their distance as a verdict on your value. You can stop trying to earn what should be freely given, and you can begin to understand that your desire for connection is not a weakness, it's your strength. You're not too emotional, too needy, or too intense. You're honest, you're real, and that kind of presence will always challenge someone who's been running from their truth. In the end, the secret weakness of avoidant partners isn't their inability to love, it's their fear of being loved. That fear runs deep, but it isn't stronger than truth. It isn't stronger than healing. It isn't stronger than the kind of love that begins with self-awareness and emotional courage. Whether you stay or walk away, your clarity is your power. Your ability to love while letting go is the most radical freedom you can ever give yourself. And maybe, just maybe, your strength will be the wake-up call they never saw coming. Thank you so much for watching this video. If this message touched something inside you, if it gave you clarity, strength, or even just a moment of peace, I'm truly grateful we connected here. Your time and energy matter, and I don't take that lightly. Whether you're healing, reflecting, or just trying to understand love a little better, know this: you're not alone. Growth takes courage, and by showing up, you've already taken a powerful step forward. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and share. It helps this message reach someone else who might need it right now. Subscribe for more content on relationships, emotional insight, and healing truths. Until next time, take care of your heart, protect your peace, and never forget: you are worthy of real, safe, lasting love. See you in the next video. Goodbye for now.